You're watching ESPN's Bracket Builder Week, presented by Dish.
Billy Donovan embarked on his coaching journey as a precocious 28-year-old. Now, 499 wins later, he sits on the cusp of history and doing something extremely extraordinary and unique. Welcome, everyone, to the O'Connell Center, a.k.a. the noise factory called the O-Dome. You're watching the SEC on ESPN in the first meeting of the season between Tennessee, who comes in at 14-13, against the 13-15 Florida Gators. Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Jones, courtside, along with Carol Lawson. Thanks for coming aboard. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. Big changes for the Gators. Robinson and Murphy are out of the starting lineup. Chiozza and Kurtz, the walk-on, are in. Meanwhile, for Tennessee, it's Richardson, Hunter, Hubbs, Moore, and Carmichael. Richardson, the leading scorer for the Volunteers. The big story of the day for Florida, though, Kara, Dorian Finney-Smith back in the starting lineup.
Well, it's great for Billy Donovan to have him back in the lineup. He's a versatile scorer. They run a lot of pick and pop action for Dorian Finney-Smith. He will come off the bench in tonight's game, but he'll have an opportunity to impact the game on the offensive end of the floor. They will not have the services of Michael Frazier. Had that high ankle sprain sustained. He'll miss his 6th straight game. They will miss him in his spacing. Their leading three-point shooter on the season, they will not have him. You see he shoots a solid percentage at 40%.
Donnie Tyndall, the head coach of Tennessee in his first season, saying earlier that this game extremely important with respect to trying to get a little bit of confidence back. His team coming up a loss at home a couple of nights ago against Vanderbilt in a late game collapse, which saw the Commodores sizzling from downtown. Florida also trying to snap a losing streak. They've lost 6 of their last 7, and we are underway. Richardson out top for the Volunteers. There's Hubbs, who's been coming on in conference play. Painter in the paint. Hubbs, tough pass on the baseline, mishandled by Willie Carmichael, and it's an empty possession for the Volunteers.
Well, you see Florida starts their 2 point guards, Chris Chiozza and Casey Hill. So how do they handle Tennessee's pressure and their zone? A lot of length at the top of that zone with both Richardson and Punter.
Chiozza double teamed and coughs it up almost. It's retained by Florida, but a nice double team there by the Vols.
Well, you can already see how quickly they close you down. I mean, they close you down at the top of the key. You have to be very aggressive, and you have to understand where you need to go with the basketball, or else Tennessee, they'll get their hands on it and turn you over.
Tennessee plays that zone defense. Tough to beat. There's a Donnie Tyndall trademark going back to his time at Morehead State. 7 on the shot clock. Eli Carter. Chiozza from way deep. And an offensive rebound by Kurtz. So Florida get another opportunity at it. That's what this Tennessee defense likes to make you do, is shoot a lot of three-pointers. Kurtz on the kick out to Carter. And he knocks that one down.
Well, that's a good sign. I mean, Eli Carter is a guy that has struggled with his percentage from beyond the arc. It's a good sign for Florida to start with that knockdown.
Tell you what, Billy Donovan, Kara, lucky just to have Carter out there. He's been battling a case of strep throat for the last several days. Actually didn't practice until yesterday. Not sure how much they were going to get out of him this afternoon. Chiozza guarding Hubbs. Three-pointer on the way by Armani Moore, and he is so versatile for this Volunteer team. Knocks down the 3.
Well, you can see the little cushion that Kurtz was giving him. I mean, that's only Moore's 5th three-pointer on the season, so clearly something Florida was okay with giving up, and Armani Moore makes him pay.
Carter kicks it out to Chiozza. And Chiozza makes that 3. Donnie Tyndall might be thinking, here we go again. I mentioned that Vanderbilt loss a couple of nights ago. The Commodores shot 9 of 11 from downtown in the second half to erase a 13-point deficit and come back and beat the Volunteers. Here's Casey Hill in transition. Another 3. This one a little bit strong, and Painter with the board. Hunter, with the board. Horford with the rebound. Goes inside for Horford. And Horford with the easy bucket.
I like Florida's pace right now. They're not allowing that Tennessee zone to lock in and get set up. Passing the basketball crisply, and as a result, they're getting some quality looks at the basket.
Richardson. Richardson and Hunter providing most of the scoring for the Volunteers. They account for about 27 points a game. Hunter with the tough pull-up, a contested two, and rebounded by Willie Carmichael. Another possession for Tennessee.
Well, that's going to be an interesting piece in this game. The offensive rebounding of Tennessee versus the defensive rebounding of Florida. Tennessee has some really good players in Moore and Carmichael that get out after the offensive glass.
Well, Garrett, Tennessee's turned it over 3 times already. Great dish to Horford. Timeout, Tennessee. Boy, Casey Hill so lethal in the open court with his speed.
He is, and I love the way that Florida's running. You got to reward the big fella when he runs down the court. Casey Hill does just that.
Florida Gators looking for their 4th consecutive win against the Volunteers. And Dorian Finney-Smith is checked into the ball game, returning today for the first time in 4 games. He served a 3-game suspension for unspecified reasons, in violation of team rules. But Billy Donovan telling us a little bit earlier that he has done everything to get back into the good graces of the coaching staff and the team. Hence back on the floor today. Moore with the layup and a nice press break that time.
Press offense, and that's why you call it press offense, is because you need to attack. If a team is going to extend, bring 2 guys to 1 on the back end, you can get a clean look. Good execution out of the timeout by Tennessee.
Garrett, we've seen an early trend here for Florida in Chiozza doing a lot of that handling as opposed to Casey Hill.
You know, Billy Donovan talked about this, having Chris Chiozza on the basketball. He can make plays off of ball screen action. He's also a threat shooting the basketball, so it can bring a little bit of pace to their half-court offense. Casey
Hill, not a great perimeter shooter. He does drive well, though. Missed the layup. Finney-Smith! Check that. That was Devin Robinson. Check that. Actually, it was Finney-Smith. I'll take the first one. Somebody bolted up. Oh, Finney-Smith got some bounce. An impressive offensive rebound and stick back. Florida leading by 7 when we come back.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Dish. Only the Hopper from Dish gives you the power to watch all your live and recorded TV anywhere.
Tennessee with 3 turnovers in the ball game already. Florida leading by 7. Just under 15 minutes to go. Mark Jones chopping it up alongside Kara Lawson. Dorian Finney-Smith back with feeling a moment ago, and he brings about 13 points a game, 40% three-point shooting, and a lot of intangibles this team has really missed during the last 3 games.
They really miss his versatility on the offensive end of the floor. He can pick and pop. He can shoot the three-point shot. We saw what he can do on the offensive boards, the glass. And back with a little bit of a vengeance. I mean, you think that 3-game suspension bothered him? Getting out a lot of his frustration right there is Dorian Finney-Smith. What a luxury for Billy Donovan to bring a guy like that off of the bench.
Yeah, he missed 5 days of practice. They kept him out of 5 days of practice before finally coming back. And during the time that he returned to the court, there were a certain set of obligations that he had to fulfill with Coach Donovan and the rest of the team, and he did such that and is back. The Virginia Tech transfer making an impact early. That's going to be a foul against the Volunteers.
Well, there's no question that you could categorize this Florida Gators season as uneven. Uneven in terms of their performances on a night-to-night basis, uneven in terms of their lineup. Who is going to be available? Not having Dorian Finney-Smith for the last 3 games. This is a 6th straight game that Michael Frazier has missed. Those are your 2 best offensive players.
Carter left open for three. That's another three ball for him. He's got a couple now, and it's a 15-5 lead. How careful does Tennessee have to be here? Care of losing touch early.
Florida's hitting shots, and I think that the danger here is that if you're Tennessee is to all of a sudden maybe get a little too close to some of these guys. I mean, Eli Carter has not been that proficient from beyond the arc on the season, only shooting about 28%. So I think you live with it right now if you're Donnie Tyndall and hope the averages play in your favor eventually.
Oh, tough shot and one by Armani Moore. So we'll go to the free throw line. Moore already with 7 points in the ball game with that bucket. Big time move here.
I love the way Armani Moore plays. I mean, you see him in person, and he's 6'4". Maybe 6'5". Okay, maybe you give him 6'5". Night in and night out in the SEC, he goes up against these guys and he battles them. Third in offensive rebounding in SEC play, makes all the big plays for his team. I mean, you just have to tip your hat to a guy like this that undersized and finds a way to outwork his opponent each night.
He has all 8 of their points so far and presents a lot of mismatch issues for opponents. Casey Hill out top. Waves through Robinson. Here's Carter. Carter with a nice ball fake. Kicks it back out to Hill. 7 on the shot clock. Finney Smith with a nice fake. Had it knocked out of bounds, and a stay Florida basketball with just 2 seconds to go on the shot clock. They got to get it off quick here. What are you looking to do here on a quick inbound play?
It's a catch and shoot. I mean, maybe you got a one dribble, but it's got to be a catch and shoot.
Finney Smith had it blocked by Richardson in a shot clock violation. Good defensive sequence that time by the Volunteers.
See, the problem is the defense, they know it's a catch and shoot too, so they know that you have to get it up. So it was good defense there by Josh Richardson. And we've talked about how good he is on the defensive end over the course of the season. He's one of the better defensive players in this league. And that length, that wingspan is what allows him to affect perimeter shots.
Faulkner into the ball game. Richardson on the drive. Good defense by Hill. And Faulkner missing the long jumper, but another offensive rebound for the Volunteers. Hunter had it stripped. It's a 3-on-1. Murphy. And the Gators have more than doubled up on Tennessee. Moore across court. Hunter with the corner three, no good. Florida looking to push tempo. Casey Hill. Carter stepped out of bounds, and the turnover against Florida. That's their first.
Well, Eli Carter right here does a good job of helping. He helps off of his man, gets a rip for Kevin Hunter. Watch Alex Murphy on the left side. He disappears in your screen, but sprinting hard, sprinting the break. And that's what enables him to get that dunk. That's why coaches always say to guys, sprint. You never know what's going to develop in a number situation. And Alex Murphy sprinting from start to finish is what got him that dunk.
Alex Murphy, the Duke transfer, became eligible mid-year in late December. Moore with a tough pass, never made it to its destination. Fortunately for him, he got it back. And it's out of bounds, Tennessee basketball.
Good job by Florida just closing those passing windows down. When Tennessee drove right down the middle of the lane there, they did a great job of shutting off those passing lanes.
Billy Donovan using his bench very liberally. They're a little short on bodies. That foul is going to be against Chiozza. Yeah, we were looking and admiring the non-playing members of the Florida Gators, guys that are going to be eligible next year. It kind of looked like an all-conference scout team right now. Faulkner on the drive. That's going to be a blocking foul against Chiozza. His second quick foul. Timeout on the floor. Tennessee trying to rally when we come back to Gainesville. It's been a rough ride so far this season for the Florida Gators, leading by 9 here, just under 12 minutes to go in the first half. You look at the start of the year, they were ranked number 7 in the country in the polls. Angel Rodriguez and the Hurricanes shooting them down early, then an own goal, so to speak. Loss against Florida State when Kurz tipped it in his own bucket. Then things really got bad. Their leading scorer, Michael Frazier II, injuring his ankle, a high ankle sprain, still remains out. And then Dorian Finney-Smith suspended for 3 games before finally coming back. And that'll get your blood pressure up a little bit when you look at the number of close games that they have lost this year. They've lost 6 games on the last possession of the contest. And then these players coming in this year trying to establish a little bit of chemistry. When you look at some of the transfers that have come here, and Ekwonu and Skylar Rimmer transfer from Stanford, will be eligible next year.
I don't think there's any question that this Florida team has underachieved a little bit. I don't think that they were the 7th best team in the country to start the season, and Billy Donovan was frank at the beginning of the season, saying, hey, you know what, we're overrated. We're not what we were when you look at the production that they lost. I did not foresee them playing this poorly in SEC play. You know, I didn't see them being 3 games under 500 at this juncture in the SEC season.
These teams have lost 6 out of the last 7. Nice ball fake by Devin Robinson. One of the bright lights at times during a turbulent season. The 6'8" freshman will go to the free throw line for 2. Yeah, you talk about the losses last year. Florida lost 4 seeds off a team that went to the Final Four a season ago and lost in the championship game. But when you look at the likes of Wilbekin and Patrick Young, and the other seniors they lost, I mean that is a lot of savvy and leadership.
That's the big thing. The last thing you mentioned is leadership, and that's what this team has struggled to find all season long. Is who are the leaders? Who are the guys when things don't go well on the court that you can turn to that are going to help make the plays? And some of those guys that they would turn to, whether it's Dorian Finney-Smith or Michael Frazier, haven't been in the lineup.
After the free throws, a 9-point ball game. Meanwhile, Patrick Young was signed by the Pelicans, and Scotty Wilbekin, at last word, having a great season professionally overseas in Australia. There's Richardson out top, little 2-man game with Moore. Nice penetration. The shot off the mark by Balkman, tipped up, no good. Chris Walker's checked into the ball game for Florida. There's Carter. Under 11 minutes to go. 10 on the shot clock. Chiozza. The lob. Oh, wow! Walk to the sky, Skywalker. That's a Sports Center top 10. Biggest lead of the ball game temporarily, and 1 at the other end for Reese.
Oh, this is a terrific display of athleticism by Chris Walker. Just sneaks behind that zone. And how about the pass from Jacob Kurtz?
Yes.
I mean, right at the rim, right where his guy can get it. He's pointing for it. That's a good-looking play. Chris Walker displaying some of that athleticism that has really made fans excited here in Gainesville. That's sometimes frustrated with his slowness to develop, I think would be the right word. But I think when you watch Chris Walker on tape, when you watch last year and you watch this year, he's made some strides. He's made some tremendous strides. Now, maybe they haven't resulted in mounds of production, but he's making some strides, and his athleticism, I think, teases a lot of people.
There it is on cue. Chris Walker going to the bucket with bad intentions tonight. 10-point lead for the Gators. A nice layup at the other end by Mostella. A whistle and a foul going to be called. Looks like that's going to be against Carmichael.
Chiosa, nice job just getting into the teeth of the defense and finding his guy on the baseline. That's what you need to do, is get your big guy going, get him easy buckets, some confidence. And I think there was just a foul by Willie Carmichael off the basketball as Chris Walker ran back down the court. Willie Carmichael has had 2 really short stints here in this basketball game, and both have been unproductive so far.
Midway point of the first half, Florida leading by 8. Gators coming in at 6-9 in conference play, 13-15 overall. And Kurz with a turnover. Mostella to Reese. Good look inside for the easy flush from Robert Hubbs, and maybe that'll get Hubbs going, a guy who was a heralded recruit as a freshman coming out of high school. Still finding his way, showing signs of improvement. Carter can't improve on that. That's his 3rd three-pointer of the game.
His three-point shooting has been the difference in the game. You know, after that bucket, Tennessee pulls it within 6, and they have to like where they are. But Eli Carter now with his 3rd three-pointer of the half, you got to start to close out to him a little bit quicker if you're Tennessee.
Move inside. Mostella had it partially blocked from behind by Walker. Gators on the move. Hill. Murphy had it knocked away. Great hustle by Walker to get on the deck, and that's going to be a jump ball possession arrow in favor of the Florida Gators. Well, Super Tuesday presented by 3LED Lighting continues on ESPN at 7. Iowa taking on Indiana, then at 9, Kentucky taking on Georgia. Both games also live on Watch ESPN. And boy, what about the Kentucky Wildcats today? At last word, they were just putting it on the Razorbacks. Ended up winning by 17. I'm not sure that the final score indicates that it was really as close as it really was, though, because it wasn't.
It wasn't close at all. It seemed Coach Cal must have called off the Cats there at the end. I mean, he must have, because they were up, I think, 73-47, something like that, late in the second half. I mean, it was a dominating performance. And those guys, the more you talk about a team having potential to upset them, the better they play. They rise to the occasion for sure.
No doubt that the Wildcats hear some of that chatter. 3 on the shot clock, and they turn it over. That's going to be a shot clock violation against the Gators. Kentucky now 29-0. Tuesday night at Georgia, looking for 30-0 and closing in on history. And they finish up next Saturday against the Gators.
Those BPI numbers have just been inching up and up and up. I mean, 89%, that's the best chance. You know, Georgia's a very good team, and they have 5 players that average in double figures. J.J. Frazier back, he had double figures today in their win. So they're a good team, but certainly they're going to have to come up with their best performance of the season to upset Kentucky.
Josh Richardson has been conspicuous by his silence so far tonight. Still without a field goal in the ball game. He's Tennessee's leading scorer. And one of the Volunteers careened into the bench there. Looked like it was Tyreek Owens. A little bit of an unfriendly fire. And when you look at the sidelines here at Florida, at the O'Connell Center, this is about as tightly packed as you're going to see it in college basketball. That sideline is right up against the first row of the fans.
It's tight. I mean, even on the bench, look at the guys. I mean, you can't stick your feet out. I mean, or your feet are on the court. You can't stick them out.
Richardson kicks it out to Reese. Reese, a little bit of a homecoming for him. Richardson way off the mark. Reese from nearby Orlando, Florida. There's about 17 family members here watching the game here. And so far, they're seeing his team down by 9. Under 8 minutes to go in the first half. Eddie Smith with a nice ball fake and go. That's off his leg, out of bounds. And Tennessee basketball, the 3rd Florida turnover. A little bit of rust coming off the game for Finney Smith. Back to Gainesville after this. Well, Chris Walker getting loose for the Gators.
The athleticism, I mean, it's tantalizing. It really is. And when he goes to the basket with authority like this, that's when he's at his best. He's not a guy that you're going to throw the ball to on the block and he's going to make a bunch of moves and score. He's an athlete that needs to catch and move on the run. And when he does that, he can make quality plays.
A little disclaimer on him. As we look at the numbers, things really went from bad to worse in that Vandy game in the second half. Tonight, not off to a great start defensively for Coach Tyndall's squad. But people got to remember, Chris Walker didn't become eligible until the latter part of last year. I mean, he missed a lot of time early in the season. So when you look at his basketball calendar, he's really only played about a year right now in terms of games.
What I think it comes down to is so many people place expectations on a college career based on your high school rankings. And Chris Walker was a top 10 recruit coming out of high school. And so there are expectations that come with that. Robert Hubbs has had to deal with that in Tennessee. He was a highly rated recruit coming out of high school and has struggled some in his first 2 seasons.
Baseline. Owens picks it back out to Josh Richardson. Back to Owens. Nice two-man game, and he finishes inside. With Owens using his length.
You know, the thing I think that players have to understand when they get to the collegiate level is struggling is normal. That's normal for any basketball player at any level. That's a part of it. That's a part of being a good player. That's a part of being a good team is struggling.
Crosscourt pass never made it. Off the turnover. It's the 5th turnover for Florida. Mostella into the corner. Tough pass. Good hustle that time by Casey Hill to knock it out of bounds. Chiozza comes into the game. Hill will take a seat. Casey Hill, a sophomore, giving way to the freshman Chiozza. There's Reese. Richardson still looking for his first field goal. Hubbs, a little bit strong, rebounded by Carter. Great ball movement out to Horford for 3. And another wonderful hustle play by Kurtz. Kurtz, a great story as a walk-on. Already has his mechanical engineering degree. And that's going to be a blocking foul that he draws on the play. Kurtz has started a handful of games for the Florida Gators. Started earlier this year when there were rash of injuries to Florida. Had 7 points, 2 rebounds in their last game against Missouri. And really a great story when you think about the fact that he started off as a basketball manager here with the University of Florida.
A terrific story, and I love the way he plays. I mean, watch how the ball moves and how much rhythm Florida has on the offensive end when Jacob Kurtz is on the floor. Just that pass to Horford over there in the corner. The pacing, the location of it. He's a ball mover on the offensive end. He's not a go-to guy, but he helps make his teammates better.
Finney Smith knocks down the 3. And Florida out to a 10-point lead. Finney Smith with 5. I'm guessing that Kurtz is going to be okay upon graduation. Those engineering degrees do pretty well out in the real world. There's Punter. Little pick and pop, and that's going to be a traveling violation against Moore. Now, Kerry, I want to ask you about Josh Richardson. I like the fact that he's being patient, but at some point, does he have to start being a little bit more aggressive and look for his shot or manufacture some on his own?
Well, it's difficult. When they run the ball screen action, they're putting 2 guys on him. 2 guys are going on him, and the best play there is the open man. When you're getting that much attention within the half court, I think you look in transition to try and find some opportunities, and late shot clock, you've got some one-on-ones, you can do that as well. But this is an issue for Tennessee. It has been all season long. When teams take away Josh Richardson, do they have enough guys to score points consistently?
Finney Smith tried to come over the top and punch it. Didn't get enough airspace and comes down to the court. Well, tomorrow on SportsCenter for Texas hoop star Imani McGee Stafford Escaping a troubled past was a tall task, but through the power of words and poetry, she was determined to overcome. SportsCenter Feature presents Her Voice. Premieres tomorrow at 11 a.m. on SportsCenter. Finney Smith at the foul line. A 58% free throw shooter on the season. 5:01 to go. Scoring points has been a real chore at times this year for the Gators. Donnie Tyndall with a little instruction for Owens.
Tyndall, the free throw line's been an adventure as well.
You said it.
Yeah.
Amen.
He goes 0 for 2, and when you have a lot of close losses, a lot of times you can trace that back to poor performance at the free throw line.
Casey Hill, for one, really struggled in that last game against Missouri. He was 1 of 8 from the stripe. That's going to be a foul against Chiozza. I want to say that's his 3rd personal foul, and he took a shot, too.
Well, I think Chiozza got him first, and so that's what the foul was. But I also think Chiozza got tagged by Moore after he fouled him. So watch on the arm right here. Boom, coming down, fouls Moore.
He got it twice. He got the bow right there.
Yeah, and the hand.
And the hand.
Yep.
And the foul. That's a bad possession for Chiozza. Looks like they're going to go to the monitor and check the foul out. You know, I always thought that rule was a little bit biased towards bigs, because when you watch the way bigs naturally pivot in their own space, if you put your face in there, that's what's going to be the result more times than not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything different than just a personal foul here. Yeah. They said that play stands are called. I don't think there's anything else. But yeah, I mean, you got to be careful when you're a guard. Anytime you're eye level with an elbow, that's a problem.
Not a good thing.
That's a problem.
Make that career decision.
Yes.
Tennessee down by just 10, but Kara, I could be wrong. It feels like they're down a little bit more than that.
Because of the style points, I think, of Florida's baskets, when you look at how resounding the dunks and the threes have been. But Tennessee, if they can go on a little mini run here, they'll have to like where they are going into halftime, because Florida's been uncharacteristically good from beyond the arc here in the first 20.
Whistle and another foul against Casey Hill. They had a mismatch there against Hill, and you could hear Armani Moore saying, got a little one, got a mouse. And they got it to him. It'll be end bound, out of bounds for Tennessee. Richardson still hasn't scored with 4.5 to go in the half. Hunter off the mark, stick back good by Armani Moore, who's having a great first half with 10 points. Lead is only single digits now. That's going to be a foul against Erica Reese. Caught reaching in. He's had a good first half against Vandy a couple nights ago in their loss. 13 points and 5 rebounds. Both teams with 16 fouls, so they'll shoot on the next one. 4 minutes to go in the first half. Robinson tried to feed it inside to Horford. Active bench. That Donnie Tyndall zone impenetrable on the last several sequences. Florida with an 8-point lead, just under 4 minutes to go here in the first half. And coming up at the half on our Land Rover halftime report, big games, busting some big bubbles, perhaps. Cats staying unbeaten. Kentucky with a resounding win against Arkansas today. And more action around the SEC. Well, his name says that he's designer, and he's put together a top shelf run so far. 10 points, half of his team's output.
Where would Tennessee be without Armani Moore in this first half? I mean, offensively, it's been a struggle. And with his energy and his effort plays, he's made a difference.
Finney Smith had all day. Somebody hit the snooze bar on defense on the inbound. 8 points for Dorian Finney-Smith. Lead back up to double digits. Josh Richardson, the leading scorer for the Volunteers, has yet to get a bucket. Playing the role of facilitator. Reese had it blocked but fouled by Horford. Ooh. John Horford went up and met that shot with resistance.
Let's take a look here. Wow. That looked like an all ball, not a lot of ball. It looked like all ball to me. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't like that one. I know John didn't like that one either.
Reese at the line, the 72% foul shooter. Critical time of the year. It's bracket builder week. There's a look at the last 4 in and the first 4 out. We'll see Boise State a little bit later on the ESPN networks. As Reese makes both. Always nice to show out in front of the friends and family who made the trip across Interstate 4 to watch him play. Inside, wow, good defense by Armani Moore.
So it's no coincidence that Tennessee's defense has improved because they've been able to keep Florida in their half-court offense. I thought Florida's pace was very good the first 10 minutes of this game. I mean, they were running, pushing it on missed shots, pushing it in transition off the turnovers. And now Tennessee, if they can get them locked in this half-court setting, their chances to stop them consistently greatly increase.
Deep shot by the freshman Robinson. Wow. Cutter. He's got 4.
Florida already has exceeded their season average in terms of made threes. They only average about 6.5 made threes per game. They have 7 here in the first part of this first half. It's been a great shooting performance.
Moore put it on spin and he traveled with it.
I love the timing of that double team by Dorian Finney-Smith right there. He totally created that turnover. He knew Armani Moore was going to make a move to the basket, and on that spin, he surprised him with the double team and forced the travel. That's good defense, good help defense.
Tyndall's team has been in that trademark zone. Florida attacking it with that passer flashing to the foul line. Good active hands by Richardson. Knocked it out of bounds. 2:23 to go. Donnie Tyndall, former head coach at Morehead State, and where he coached Kenneth Fareed, who was a first-round pick of the Denver Nuggets, former assistant on the staff at Middle Tennessee State under Coach Kermit Davis, doing a great job this year, despite the fact that Sean Jones is playing professionally now. And pretty good staff back in the day with Davis and Tyndall and Tony Jassett. Now at Jacksonville, who got a big win today at home against Florida Gulf Coast. Finney-Smith inside with the layup. He's got 10. And the biggest lead of the ball game for the Gators. And an offensive foul against the Vols. Okay, I got to ask you, does Tennessee have a chance if Josh Richardson doesn't get into double digits here scoring? Because he still hasn't scored a bucket. More than 2 minutes to go. He's only taken 1 shot, Carol.
I don't think they have enough scores without him having a solid day. I don't think he necessarily has to score 30, but he's going to have to produce some. I mean, they're struggling. They're struggling on the offensive end, and they have this year when he hasn't had great performances.
Hill up top. Casey Hill, good feed to Horford, and that's the result.
They've worn out that baseline, haven't they? I mean, they have gotten to the middle of the floor, via the pass, via the dribble, and those post players have worn out that short corner for dunks all first half.
Well, the NBA Sunday Showcase continues tomorrow on ABC for fans striving for greatness. Hey, this is your game. NBA Countdown tips it off at 12:30, then at 1. It's Clippers against the Bulls, followed by the Cavs against the Rockets. The Clippers coming off a big win last night against the Memphis Grizzlies. And speaking of the NBA, remember back in the day, Billy played with the Knicks. Before that, played with the Providence Friars under Rick Pitino. Look at that hair. And here is Billy wearing out our colleague Mark Jackson on defense. Mark didn't really get over the top of that screen too well.
He died on that screen. He died on it. What does Mark like to say?
Billy just giving it to Mark here.
Hey. Man down.
Man down.
Man down, Mark Jackson. Billy the Kid was lighting you up, man.
He finished with 1,328 points at Providence, 170 steals, and looking for win number 500 as a coach now. Stops at Marshall and now at Florida. Richardson getting a breather on the bench now for Tyndall. A deep three by Hubbs. This is everything. And the Rowdy Reptiles are letting him hear it. Tell you what, this group behind us here, the Rowdy Reptiles, they're pretty good. They read bios. They were working over a couple of the players from Tennessee pretty good, in particular Derek Reese, who's from the area, as we mentioned. Carter from deep. And another possession on the tip-out. They can run it down now. Hill out front. And Donovan calls timeout, leading by 16. Florida trying to make it 4 consecutive wins against the Vols. And before that, Tennessee had won 3 in a row. This has been a series characterized by streaks from both the teams. Stick around for the second half, because when it comes to the second half, both these teams never really know. Florida with a lead in their last game against Missouri, which disappeared in the last several minutes, and the same can be said of Tennessee after they led Vanderbilt comfortably in the second half.
Well, this is as well as I've seen Florida shoot the ball all season long. I mean, this is a team that averages around 64 points per game. You mentioned about 6.5 threes. They've already hit 7. And this is the type of performance you would hope for against the zone. I don't know from a half-court defensive perspective for Tennessee that they've been that poor. I mean, Florida has made some shots that all season long they haven't been hitting. Now, transition defense for Tennessee, handling middle drives where Florida's gotten into the lane and been able to hit that zone, sure.
Second game in a row that Tennessee's getting hit hard with the 3-ball. Hill with the floater in the paint, got it. Casey Hill giving the Vols that rope. And that's the end of the first half. An 18-point lead for the Gators. 7 of 11 from downtown, and they got it working inside with 6 dunks. The first half has been all blue and orange, Gator orange, as they lead it in a big way. Folks, we'll be back with our Land Rover halftime report right after these messages. Stick around. Welcome back, everyone, to Gainesville, Florida, where the Gators lead by 18, getting ready for the start of the second half as we take a look at our Northwestern Mutual planning for success. And, boy, Florida has scored in so many different ways in this game and been prolific.
Well, their attack, especially in the half court, getting to this middle area of the zone, they're posting that dunker spot there, finding a way to get open, and then the 3-point shot, 7 for 11. So, yeah, that's plenty for success. Have your guys step out beyond the arc and knock a bunch of them down against the zone. It's been a great performance. Florida's best offensive half in SEC play against this Tennessee zone.
There's a look at some of the cogent numbers. Very efficient from the field, shooting, as you mentioned, almost 70%. But the prevailing storyline for Tennessee, their leading scorer, Josh Richardson, at about 16 points per game coming in, has yet to knock one down. Let's keep an eye on him early here in the second half, see if he tries to get off a little bit. Young man who's extremely talented. Third on the all-time games played list at Tennessee. He plays a lot of minutes. He's not going to get much rest the rest of the way. Averages about 38 minutes a game over the last 9. They're going to ride him till the wheels fall off. Reese on the block. Had it partially knocked away. Kurtz on the deck. And a possession arrow in favor of the Gators. That's a win for Florida. Talking about the great job that Jacob Kurtz has done this year. The walk-on, getting another start here tonight. 7 points and 2 rebounds in his last game against Missouri. Here's Carter back out to Hill. Kurtz goes to work against Reese. Got tied up by Richardson. Well defended by Jason Richardson, who was digging from the top. And that's the 6th turnover for the Gators.
So that's a Tennessee defensive possession right there. I mean, it's shutting down driving lanes. It's shutting down passing lanes, making it difficult. That's the way they have to play in the half court. They've got to force some turnovers here to try and get back in this game.
Richardson steps through the double team and draws the foul. That's against Casey Hill, his 2nd personal foul. Chiozza sat down a big portion of that first half with 3 personal fouls. Richardson off the baseline screen. Good help by Horford to get out on him and show. Good closeouts by the Gators, but the extra pass good for the bucket. Moore inside once again. He's got a dozen. Carter wasn't expecting the pass. Back out to Finney-Smith, and even when you have a miscue, it works out okay for the Gators.
Well, that should have been a turnover. I mean, what a play there by Eli Carter. I mean, that was incredible. And to have the pass on the money, to have the wherewithal after you corral it to get it to the corner.
That's going to be a traveling violation. I think that Armani Moore might have expected the charge on him, and he just walked with it, anticipating the whistle.
This is a turnover by Kurtz, not anticipating that he cuts back door and just taps it to himself.
Oh, got him with the old banana in the tailpipe pass.
When it's going right, it's going right for you on the offensive end.
Kurtz with a nice kick out to Horford. An offensive rebound for the Gators. Carter got hung up in the air and turned it over to Punter. Reese couldn't make the catch. And once again, Jacob Kurtz is around every loose ball. Smith back out top to Casey Hill. Now they'll run their offense against that zone. And a timeout called by Billy Donovan. With 17:21 to go. We're going to take a break right with you. Get back to Gainesville after this. Back in Gainesville in a 19-point lead for the Gators with 17:21 to go. And here's a look at some games coming up on the ESPN Family Network. Boise State taking on San Diego State at 8 o'clock on ESPN2. Arizona, Utah for Pac-12 supremacy. And a big game for BYU is on the last or the second 4 out on Joe Lunardi's list. The West Coast Conference play, BYU and Gonzaga. And Gonzaga running through the West Coast Conference, their conference tournament starting soon, and a huge game for BYU. And going to be interesting to see what happens in that conference.
I think Gonzaga would be a 1 seed if they went out. I mean, their only loss, their only blemish on the season is at Arizona, who's a top 10 team, a really good team. in overtime, and you watch them play, and, you know, because it's both, right? It's your body of work and the numbers behind it, but it's also watching them play. They're one of the top 4 teams in the country to me.
According to Joey Brackets, they're #1 seed. BYU, I believe, in 3rd place in the West Coast Conference. Right in front of Pepperdine, Marty Wilson. And the Waves doing a nice job this year. They'll go into the conference tournament as the #4 seed in the West Coast Conference. Another 17 minutes to go here. Good denied defense by Josh Richardson on the wing. Hunter on the move. Had the floater go halfway down and out. You can say this about Josh Richardson. He hasn't scored a lot, but we saw in that last defensive sequence that defensively he still gives his entire self to the team.
He's an elite defender, and that's been his MO the first few years of his career. In the NCAA tournament last year, he kind of broke out on the offensive end, and then by virtue of need, I mean sheer need, he's had to play the point guard position this year for Tennessee, be their leading scorer, be Mr. Everything for them to have a chance of just winning games, and he's done that. You know, this Tennessee team is one of the nice surprises of the SEC this season. When you look at the fact that they're 14-13 coming in on the year, I think picked 13th in the conference in the preseason, 6-9, they still have an opportunity to make a postseason tournament, and that's what they're playing for. And so they're playing for a lot. For this team to make a postseason tournament would be quite the accomplishment for Donnie Tyndall and his staff.
Horford on the baseline, quick double team, kicks it out to Carter. Good patience by the Gators. Casey Hill in a blur. Wow, that guy is faster than Gossip. Woo. Was that some kind of first step?
That's him at his best. I mean, that's Casey Hill at his best. Attacking, getting into the paint, and making things happen.
And Richardson has his first bucket of the game. Right there. Hill had it blocked, but he's fouled in the process by Willie Carmichael. But let's take a look at this blinding speed by the sophomore.
He can do it in transition. He's done it in a half court today, just utilizing his ability to get to the rim and finish. It's been all Gators here this evening.
Welcome back, everybody. You're watching the SEC on ESPN from the O'Connell Center in Gainesville, Florida. The Gators lead it 45-26. 15:38 to go in the second half as we take a look at Joe Lunardi's bracketology. Texas just dropped one to Kansas, and Texas right now on the first 4 out list. See Boise State a little bit later tonight. Pitt and Tulsa in a rather tenuous position right now. Casey Hill appeared to be a little shaken up during that break, but obviously well enough to shoot free throws. Hill had 5 points and 4 assists in their last game against Missouri, and continues to struggle at the free throw line. He was 1 for 8 from the foul line against Missouri, and that's symptomatic of their team struggles.
You shoot 67% from the field, like they're doing so far today.
Does that matter?
I don't know that it matters too much from the free throw line. Now, the problem has been for Florida, they haven't shot 67% all season long, so the free throw line has been an issue, but what a performance offensively for them so far. Wow.
Dribble handoff had some issues there. Reese, the 10 on the shot clock for the Volunteers. Richardson. And 1 and done at the offensive end off the miss by Balky.
Well, that was a really good possession there by Florida. Everything contested, everything tough. And they force a tough 2 there by Tennessee with the shot clock going down.
Ball's down by 20. Chioza Nice drive and kick. Finney-Smith tees one up, and he knocks one down. 16 points for Dorian Finney-Smith, back for the first time in 4 games after serving a 3-game suspension for unspecified team reasons. Tell you what, when you get back your second leading scorer, it certainly helps a lot. Baseline jumper by Carmichael off the mark. Balkman lost the handle. Boy, that ball really moving. Carter missed. Reese with the pull.
And this is as good as I've seen Florida play on both ends for long stretches in SEC play. I mean, it's as good of a performance as I've seen.
Hunter with great anticipation all the way to the bucket and gets it to go over 2 defenders. So Kevin Punter now with his first bucket of the game. It's been a quiet night for him. He's their second leading scorer.
And that's something Tennessee needs more of, right? Points off turnovers. One of the best teams in the SEC in doing so. They average about 17 a game off of that. So they can manufacture some of those buckets, turn Florida over. That can get them to cut this lead down.
And dovetailing off of that, is there a time soon where they got to maybe think about extending their defense to get back into the game and overcome this 21-point deficit?
Here's the hard part is they don't play a lot of guys. And so if you do that too soon, I don't know if you have much gas left in the tank, but it's just reading the passing lane right there. And you know why that was a bad pass? Because he was going to get intercepted twice. If Hunter didn't get it, Richardson was going to get it too. So I don't know what Dorian Finney-Smith was seeing there. He wasn't throwing it up to Calvin Johnson or anybody like that. I mean, that was Chris Chioza on the other end. I mean, that was just not a good play by Dorian Finney-Smith. But yeah, you know, Mark, that's the issue is, do you extend and you've got guys that are among the SEC leaders in minutes? Do they have enough left?
It's a pretty short bench there. The subs coming in for Donnie Tyndall. Carmichael sits down along with Balkman. Carter, meanwhile, with his scoring today, surpasses the 1,000-point career mark. When you look at what Carter has done going back to his time at Rutgers, he started the night with 999 points and now has combined in his career gone over 1,000. Hunter off the baseline, staggered screen. Richardson knocks down the jumper off the floppy action. He's got 4.
Well, I like that. Get him off the basketball, run him off some screens, and let him utilize his height. When Josh Richardson comes off of screens, a lot of times he can still see the rim, even if you're right there, because he's got that size advantage on the perimeter at 6'6".
Murphy swings it around to Chioza. 10 on the shot clock for Murphy. Here's Chioza on the wing now. Nice lob for Walker. Didn't work out the way it did in the first half, though. Walker was dunking those. That wasn't a great pass that time, and back come the Vols. Nice spin move, and Reese gets it to fall. There, Reese with 7. Under 12 minutes to go. The Vols can't afford to trade buckets, though. Down by 19. Freshman drives baseline and almost turned it over. Here's Walker. And Billy Donovan is incensed. He is irate. He is giving somebody the death stare there. Not sure who's on the other end of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this combination on the offensive end is doing what Billy Donovan wants done, and that's why he calls the timeout.
And John Pelfrey stepping in. Well, he started off as an assistant coach and head coach at Marshall, and then a great tenure, including a couple of national championships here at Florida. And on the cusp of 500 wins, should he get it done today, he would become just the second head coach to notch 500 wins before the age of 50. The other one, Robert Knight.
Remarkable. It's just,
unbelievable.
It's just remarkable what Billy Donovan has done here at Florida. And you know, you look at the success that he's had and the consistency. I mean, 500 wins. And I know, you know, Coach K is at 1,000, and Jim Boeheim will probably get to 1,000 next season. But 500 wins before the age of 50. I mean, he's going to be chasing down some of the all-time greats in our great sport.
It might not have happened had he not changed his mind several years ago and joined the Orlando Magic. Had actually agreed to become their head coach, and then fought it over and changed his mind and returned to Florida. And Jeremy Foley, the AD, is more than glad to have him back. And they're really moving the ball around, Kara.
They're doing a great job. I mean, this has been their best SEC offensive performance of this season, and Jacob Kurtz is just one of the reasons why.
11:03 to go here in Gainesville. The Gators in control. And folks, the journey to the tourney, presented by Sonic, continues on Tuesday. Kentucky taking on Georgia at 9 p.m. on ESPN. Also live on the Watch ESPN app. So it turns into Tuesday night, a 30 for 30. And what if I told you that a group of 9 and now 8 with the injury, McDonald's All-Americans, had a chance to rewrite history? What if I told you that John Calipari, their head coach, wants to talk about anything but going perfect? We saw him recently, Kara. It's amazing how he coaches literally every possession. He does not coach the score, to his credit.
The other thing, that obviously they have a wealth of talent, and their depth is what helps separate them, because they can afford for certain guys to have off nights and they can still win games. Case in point, this game right here, Josh Richardson has struggled tonight. Tennessee can't win when Josh Richardson struggles. One of those guys on Kentucky's team struggles. There's another one right behind him that John Calipari can plug in and get some production out of. It's been remarkable, their focus, though, each game.
Richardson, a quiet night for him offensively, just 4 points on 2 of 5 from the field. A whistle, that's going to go against the Vols, and now a little bit of frustration setting in and showing on the countenance of head coach Donnie Tyndall. First year on the sidelines, had a successful tenure at Southern Miss and Morehead State before that. Kurtz out top. Chioza pulls it out. 10 on the shot clock for Florida. Freshman lost it right to Walker, and he got rolled up on, and hopefully he's okay, because his leg seemed to turn underneath him when the defender fell on him. And Chris Walker getting up slowly. Here's one more look at it. Ooh, that left knee seemed to buckle. And thankfully, he's all right. Billy Donovan not going to take any chances. Points him to the athletic trainer to get looked at. He just told the trainer, "I'm good, I'm good." Coach, I'm ready. Is that how it goes, Kara?
If you want to get back in, yeah. You don't linger around. You don't go in the bag. If you're ready to play, these are the types of games. I mean, when your team is playing well offensively, I mean, these are the types of games that you really want to be in. You want to be a part of it.
Murphy with the miss. Yeah, you know, you'll check in at the drop of a hat, because I saw you this afternoon at that Tennessee shoot-around as the jumper goes down by Mostella at the Tennessee shoot-around. They ended it off with a game of three-point shooting at both ends, and they needed some bodies. And man, before I could turn around, you were out there knocking down 5 in a row to help that team win. And the walk-off, you had the walk-off jumper too, and the losing team had to give a shoe shine to the winning team. I noticed your sneakers are kind of clean, and that's a clean dunk. Robinson punching it home.
Devin Robinson just oozes potential. I mean, I think he's got a big-time future. He's 6'9", just a freshman. And look at the power that this young man has. On the back, behind that zone. Those Florida guards are down to the middle. And those Florida forwards have been in that dunker spot. And they have brought the hammer time and time again.
7 dunks tonight for the Gators. And a dominant performance for them.
He's somebody to watch. He really is. I mean, he's got to get a little bit more serious about his approach. He's got to have the mentality of, hey, I want to be a great player. But you look at his body, you look at his athleticism, you look at his skills. I mean, he's a pro. He's a pro if he develops that mentality.
Cross court to Reese for 3. And Reese, the Orlando resident, just down the way in Interstate 4, has 10 points. Trying to show out a little bit more for his 17 family members that made the trip to watch him play here today. Double team on the baseline, and Finney Smith got open and drew the foul from Mostella. And Finney Smith will go to the foul line. A great menu of games coming up tonight. Boise State in a key game for them against San Diego State, Arizona, and Utah for Pac-12 supremacy, and BYU taking on Gonzaga. I got that talked about that West Coast Conference tournament coming up. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I've been watching those late night games and say that Marty Wilson's Pepperdine crew might have a little bit of a surprise for Gonzaga.
Come on.
You look at the way they battled them on campus at home the one time.
Anybody, I mean, obviously anybody can be beaten on a given night. Gonzaga, to me, is just so complete.
You think they're a lock?
Well, I think they're a lock for #1 seed if they win out. Obviously, losing in the West Coast Conference would hurt their resume. But if they win out, I mean, they have it all. They've got experience at the guard position. They've got tremendous size.
Yeah, that's where they beat a lot of teams. Talented bigs. 14 points now for Armani Moore. Championship week right around the bend. And then Selection Sunday, as the calendar turns to March in a number of hours. Hunter cross court. Richardson walks into the 3 and drills it. And the lead is down to 15. Just feels like a lot more. It always seems to.
Oh, you can't relax here for Florida. You know, the way Tennessee pressures, if they get some turnovers.
Oh boy, the freshman Robinson missed everything. Quick hit had Moore, couldn't get the handle. A timeout on the floor. Tennessee still trying to make one last gasp effort. Trailing by 15 when we come back.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Dish. Only the Hopper from Dish gives you the power to watch all your live and recorded TV anywhere.
Billy Donovan amped up about win number 500 potentially. And the Gators have had their way with the return of Dorian Finney-Smith to the lineup. After missing the previous 3 games, he got involved early and has kept his foot on the gas pedal with 18 points and 18 rebounds and knocking down 3-pointers as well.
Dorian Finney-Smith, his versatility, that's what we talked about at the top of the game, how his versatility would really help Florida from that 4 position, particularly against this Tennessee zone, because he becomes a playmaker in that free throw line area. He can hop out to the top of the key. We know that he can knock down the 3-point shot. He's gone 4 for 4 today. So he's been a difference maker for them in terms of just helping to orchestrate the offense.
It's a different type of offense for Florida for almost the 2nd consecutive year. Last year, they were a wing scoring type of team. Previously, the perception is that Billy Donovan teams, it's a 3-point shooting team. Beating you and taking a lot of threes, right?
Well, they lost so much. It's really hard to compare last year's team to this year's team. I mean, you're talking about guys that had played so many minutes. Scotty Wilbekin, Patrick Young, Will Yeget was a huge piece to what they did pressing and creating turnovers. Right. I mean, it's just It's easy to compare because it's last season, but it's hard to compare because it's two totally different teams with different guys stepping into new roles this year.
Made it to the championship game last year before being upended by UConn. Shabazz Napier had a great game in that final. Finney Smith, meanwhile, knocking down the free throw, a 58% foul shooter. Virginia Tech transfer a couple of years ago.
The other thing with Florida last year, their defense was so suffocating. I mean, you could not score against them last year. I mean, they were so complete on that end of the floor.
Yeah, there are a lot of muscle in the middle with Patrick Young. Josh Richardson tried to kick it out and got swallowed up.
Spacing was poor on that weak side. These two guys allowed themselves to be defended by one player in Florida. Guy drives, you've got to space and find the gap to give him an alley to throw it.
Horford on the baseline. And Horford with the jump shot.
You don't just dunk there from that dunker spot. You can step out short corner and knock down that shot.
Boy, good zone offense, huh, by the Gators?
Good rhythm. It's been good rhythm, good pacing to their passing, their ball movement. It's really been a nice performance.
Donnie Tyndall still looking for answers. Giving it to Josh Richardson a little bit there. Trying to get something going. And Big Monday, folks, presented by Verizon, continues on ESPN at 7. Virginia taking on Syracuse. Then at 9, Oklahoma taking on Iowa State. Both games are also live on Watch ESPN. And what about Iowa State losing against Kansas State today? Kansas State really making some things happen. And I noticed that they had some security. The court was not stormed today. I wouldn't call it a full-blown court storming compared to what we saw earlier.
Yeah, those lime green jackets in Manhattan, they should be on the SportsCenter top 10 tonight, shouldn't they? After the week they had, that's a bounce-back performance. That's what I'd like to see. Handle some adversity there. They were good. And
yeah.
Kansas State, I mean, you want to talk about quality wins.
Yeah.
I mean, Kansas State has them. Certainly their record isn't the best, but they've got some quality wins that can stack up against any team on the bubble.
Making a little bit of noise late in conference play here. That's going to be an and one attempt now for Armani Moore. Moore was 16. A near perfect 7 of 8 from the field. Left the free throw short, got his own rebound. Out of bounds off of Tennessee. Didn't look like Hubbs was ready for that, or did it go through his hands? Not sure. 17-point Florida lead, which has been a popular refrain here tonight. Billy Donovan with a win here today. Would notch career win number 500. Joining Bobby Knight as the only coach to reach 500 wins before 50 years old. It was interesting him reflecting on how he became a head coach at the age of just 28 years old. And I asked him, what does win number 500 mean to you? He said, Mark, it means had a lot of good wins and a lot of good coaches and a lot of good players along the way.
Leader to your program, and Billy Donovan has been that down here in Gainesville for 19 years. I mean, he has lifted this program to an elite program nationally, 4 Final Fours, back-to-back national championships, 2006 and 2007. So he can pass along the praise all he wants, but the lion's share of it belongs to Billy Donovan. There were people when he first signed on as head coach here that thought it might not be the right move. It might not be the move. This is, after all, considered quote-unquote football country. But he has carved out a very significant niche for Florida basketball.
ESPN.com made a list of the survey of their top coaches collegiately, and here's the #1 pick. Under 5 minutes to go. Hunter, the stare down 3. Horford with the board. Joe's on the baseline drive. Finney Smith back out to Carter. Hill, 3 on the shot clock. And all orange jerseys for the rebound. It has been a grind. It has been an arduous day at the offensive end. And a block by Finney Smith. An example of what I was talking about. Hill on the move. Casey Hill with a pretty efficient day. 7 points on 3 of 5 shooting. Carter with a nice double. And that's going to be a foul against Josh Richardson. His second, third. It's the guy they affectionately call Dodo. Finney Smith with the block. And at the other end, Casey Hill kicked the turbo in and said hello to the Gator cheerleaders. Billy Donovan, just 319 away from career victory number 500. 21 seasons at Marshall, and now here at Florida. Just one of 3 conference coaches to win 400 games. Rupp and Dale Brown, the other 2, 3-time conference coach of the year last year, winning the conference tournament, making it to the Final Four, and back-to-back titles in 06 and 07. 4 Final Fours. And Hill this summer, actually, he's had some very successful stints with USA Basketball, coaching the FIBA Under-19 team to FIBA Americas gold medals and FIBA World titles as well. So a fantastic grasp of the international game as well, and taking a team of youngsters and running roughshod, eviscerating the rest of the world on the basketball court. There's more. Race from downtown. One and done for the Volunteers. So in all likelihood, Tennessee's going to fall to 14-14 and 6-10 in conference play. These teams trying to avoid that dreaded Wednesday night game in the upcoming SEC tournament. Those last 4 teams will have a long road to make it to the championship game. They have to play Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Championship game on Sunday. Runner no good. Finney Smith will kick it back out. And Chiozza with some good discretion. Two minutes to go. Horford, that same short corner you talked about there.
They've worked that area. They've really worked that area. It's a great game plan by Florida to overload the zone when they could and getting down into the paint. And their post players utilizing that short corner has been really good.
Whistle and a foul going to go There's a look at the format for the SEC tournament. Both these teams at 6 and 9, trying to avoid that first round of games on Wednesday.
This game, as we talked about, important for both teams as it relates to postseason hopes. But the last week of the season for Florida is tough. I mean, they have Texas A&M coming in here on Tuesday, and then they finish at Kentucky to end the regular season. So this was a game that they really needed to get. And then, we'll see what happens on Tuesday night with this newfound three-point explosion.
Baseline jumper good by Huggs. He's got 4. Yet you wonder if Michael Frazier will play again this year. That high ankle sprain, very bothersome. This is the 6th consecutive game that he's missed, going back to the 12th of February.
1 minute remaining.
Frazier, a dead-eye three-point shooter. Under a minute to go. Carter from deep. Moore got it back after losing it and lays it in. We get Boise State and San Diego State coming up. 2-second difference on the shot clock and game clock. And this applause, this standing ovation, as much for the players and the win as it is for Billy Donovan and win number 500. Billy's smiling inside. He just hasn't told his face yet.
He wanted to make sure that Eli Carter was going to let that shot clock run out and take the turnover there.
This one is cooked, glazed, and sliced. And you can chalk it up with number 500 for Billy Donovan. And the Gators improve to 14 and 15 overall, 7 and 9 in conference play, and their 4th consecutive win over Tennessee. We'll be back in a minute and listen to Billy Donovan. 66-49 the final score, and University of Florida earning the win and inching closer to 500. The fans here hanging around in a standing ovation for Billy Donovan, who earned career victory number 500. And speaking to the house right now, and Donovan appreciative through the years of his coaches and his staff and his players.
Thank everybody in here for sharing all those. Really, really appreciate it. It's been an incredible journey and ride, and as I said before, Mick, I got started in this very early, and it's because I've had a lot of good coaches and a lot of good players, and I'm very, very fortunate and blessed.
Billy, thank you.
Thank you, Mick.
Billy Donovan, a little reflective and some moments of introspection which will last just a couple of minutes, and then he'll start game planning for Texas A&M. But today was a good day for the Gators. A convincing 66-49 win, and shooting the three-pointer as well as they have all year long. A busy night of great games coming up on ESPN. We're going to send it out to San Diego State and Boise State.